Tonight, our special transmission as Pope Francis condemns the killing of children in Gaza. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Aisha Ashraf. Today is the 347th day since the onset of Israel's war in Gaza. Israel continues its relentless attacks across the Gaza Strip. The military is targeting residential homes with heavy artillery and airstrikes. Palestinian Health Ministry reports in the past 24 hours, at least 26 Palestinians have been killed. 84 have been injured. A bomb strike on the Burej refugee camp has killed 4 civilians. 7 members of the same family have also been killed following their return to the camp. Rescuers fear many Palestinians are trapped under the rubble. Civil defense teams are unable to reach the devastated areas due to the intensity of the bombardment. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has expanded military operations, including the return of residents to the Lebanese border. The death toll from the war is alarming. At the time of writing, at least 41,252 Palestinians have been killed. 95,497 have been injured. A report in the British medical journal The Lancet estimates the death toll in Gaza could be as high as 186,000 Palestinians. The report was published in July. Palestinian Education Ministry reports over 11,000 students have been killed since October 7th. Israel faces accusations of genocide for its actions in Gaza at the International Court of Justice. The Israeli Prime Minister says the Houthis in Yemen will pay a heavy price. The warning comes following a missile strike by the militant group that reached central Israel for the first time. The target is around 2,000 kilometers away from Yemen. The missile landed in an uninhabited area. The shrapnel indicates failures in Israel's air defense systems. The Israel Defense Forces report attempts to intercept the missile were unsuccessful, possibly due to the new hypersonic features. Netanyahu says the incident highlights Israel's multi-front battle against Iran's influence in the region. The Houthis claim the strike was in solidarity with Palestinians. They are warning Israel of further attacks as the anniversary of the October 7th attacks approaches. In retaliation, Israeli jets have targeted Hodeidah in Yemen, igniting a major fire at an oil storage facility. Pope Francis has condemned the tragic deaths of Palestinian children in Israeli airstrikes. The Pope made the comments Friday on the flight back to Rome from Singapore. He described the bombing of schools in Gaza ugly. The Pope expressed skepticism about both Israel and Hamas taking genuine steps towards peace. He says he's regularly communicating with the Catholic parish in Gaza. He says the parish shares heartbreaking stories of suffering. The Pope has advocated for a ceasefire and the release of Israeli prisoners. He says the ongoing war has devastated Gaza's economy. The Pope has also criticized political figures. He has criticized Donald Trump over his plan to deport millions of immigrants and Kamala Harris over her stance supporting abortion rights. He says American Catholics would have to choose the lesser evil when they vote in November. The Pope did not elaborate on his comments. Today is the 42nd anniversary of the brutal killing of Palestinian refugees and Lebanese civilians. The massacre was carried out by right-wing Christian Phalangist militias with the backing of the Israeli army in Lebanon. Israel invaded Lebanon in 1982. The refugees were victims of the violent ethnic cleansing of Palestine by Zionist militias in 1948. They were taking refuge in Shatila and Sabra camp. The camps are located southwest of Lebanon's capital city, Beirut. Around 3,500 Palestinians were mercilessly killed between September 16 to September 18. This horrific event occurred following the assassination of Bashir Gemayel. Gemayel was the newly elected leader of the Kataib Party, a Lebanese social democratic party. Soon after Gemayel's killing, Israeli forces surrounded the camps. The militias unleashed a relentless assault, resulting in the deaths of countless women and children with bodies buried in mass graves. United Nations condemned the actions as genocide. It identified Israeli Defense Minister Ariel Sharon responsible for the slaughter of Palestinians. However, no justice has been served till date. Recent attempts to hold Sharon accountable in Belgium were thwarted by political pressure. Eli Hobeika, one of the leaders of the Phalangist Lebanese forces, who played a key role in the massacre, was killed in Beirut. His killing came a few days after it became public that he would testify against Sharon. More than 4 decades later, the tragic event still calls for justice and remembrance. Today, the Sabra and Shatila camps are squeezed into approximately 1 square kilometer. Currently, they serve as a home to around 12,000 Palestinian refugees. The Quebec government is demanding that Amira Elghawaby, Canada's anti-Islamophobia representative, resign. The demand comes following Elghawaby's letter to post-secondary institutions. The letter addresses rising tensions on campuses since the onset of the Israeli aggression in Palestine. Elghawaby urges the institutions to hire more Muslim, Arab, and Palestinian professors. She suggests hiring diverse faculty could alleviate unrest. Quebec's Education Minister, Pascal Derry, says Elghawaby needs to mind her own business. Derry says Elghawaby's comments lack legitimacy. She says the real issue on campuses is anti-Semitism, not Islamophobia. Quebec Premier François Legault echoes Derry's sentiments. He is calling Elghawaby's recommendations totally unacceptable in a secular state. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says hiring decisions are the prerogative of individual universities. Trudeau's comments have prompted further criticism from Legault for not demanding Elghawaby's resignation directly. Former medical school dean of the University of Toronto has returned his honorary Doctor of Laws degree. The move is in protest of the university's handling of a pro-Palestinian sit-in. Arnold Abman has expressed deep disappointment over the lack of clear condemnation from the administration. He particularly condemns the exclusion of Zionists from the sit-in. During the sit-in, demonstrators held banners that read, "No Zionists allowed." Abman says the term Zionist simply means Jews. He criticizes the involvement of the faculty in the sit-in. He says there are no consequences for participants, calling it shameful. Abman received his degree in 2015 for outstanding service. He says he no longer wishes to have the distinction of holding an honorary degree by the University of Toronto. The university has acknowledged receipt of his letter. The administration says Mayor Gertler, president of the University of Toronto, would meet with him to discuss his concerns. U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders is calling on the Justice Department to launch independent investigations into the killing of a Turkish-American activist. Ayşenur Ezgi was killed by Israeli forces in the West Bank. Egi was 26 years old. She was shot while protesting peacefully against an illegal settlement. Sanders is criticizing the U.S. government for relying on the Israeli government for the investigation. He describes the government as extremist and responsible for the deaths of American citizens. He says true accountability cannot occur if the Israeli government investigates itself. Sanders says there have been no consequences for the Israeli government for the killing of U.S. citizens and 700 Palestinians in the past year in the West Bank. He is urging President Biden to take decisive action against Israeli policies that allow such violence to continue unchecked. Sanders is also calling on the FBI to collect evidence related to Egi's death. Meta, parent company of Facebook, has announced a global ban on Russian state media networks, including RT and Rossiya Segodnya. The decision follows new sanctions imposed by U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Blinken says these outlets are involved in cyber activities and covert disinformation campaigns. Blinken's comments come following an indictment against 2 RT employees and the seizure of 32 internet domains linked to the election interference allegations. U.S. officials assert these networks threaten democratic processes. However, Russia denies any involvement in such activities, calling the accusations unfounded. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News Canada. We're a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV.